Hi, welcome, Robert and also Tina. Let's wait for another several minutes and then get started. Okay. Okay, so let's get started. So the session will be recorded. All the material will be later available on Canvas and also on YouTube in the future. So, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm going to set up the weekend office hours. So just in case you have any questions, okay? Okay, so let's get started. So today, basically, we're going to, use some examples to, demonstrate how we can, from the beginning, how we can use the prompt engineering and also vibe coding to generate a game or to generate an actual app, using codecs. Okay, so basically, this is what we are going to cover for today's material. So first of all, before we officially begin, I believe most of you still remember how we used to, design and also run this app, which is the snake, right? So we have we can easily design the game snake on the web page so that we can play with the game. So today actually let's look at the more interesting interface and also more interesting example which is provided by Dr. Yufan Lin. So uh, the game will be the really classic game, rock paper scissors. Okay, so for today, this is mostly about the prompt engineering, how we can write prompts to accurately generate the app or the web page, using the codecs. Okay, so in this case, I believe in the near future we're going to have access to the codecs. If you are a Windows user, if you are a Mac user, I believe you can already download the codecs app on your MacBook, and then you can get access to the codecs already. Okay, so. So what we will be able to do by the end of today is you're going to learn how to turn an idea into a clear product-specific prompt. Okay, and also we are going to learn how to break a big build into small prompts step by step. And we start from the scatter fold, and also we go to the feature. We think about the features, and eventually we try to polish runs and runs. Eventually iteratively, and we finalize our product. Okay, and of course we are going to use codecs for the minimum differences instead of rewriting everything from the beginning. So this is really important to remember. So this is the version updates. Okay, and also we learn how we can use ChatGPT or codecs to debug using the cause and paste the error, so that given the error, we're going to analyze the cause. We're going to ask the codecs or ChatGPT to generate the smallest fix or solutions, and then we can rerun the code from the beginning. Okay, and also we are going to ship something demo ready using the clear UX design and also the reliable behavior. So the motivating example for today is, we try to design a game. So the fantastic example is provided by Dr. Yufan Lin. So for the game, this is the gold medal edition for the rock paper scissors. Okay, so I'm going to briefly discuss. So just imagine we are now trying to develop a game which is rock paper scissors. Okay, of course we try to make it make it more interesting, make it more attractive by including many of the the vivid characters. But eventually, you have to think about what is the underlying framework or what is the underlying idea in this case. Okay. So for example, in this case, the really important thing to begin with, since this is a game, we have to think about, what are the prompt, ingredients. So what we did correct, right in this case. For example, what is the game overview? what is the final goal of the game? For example, how can we define some player is winning or losing? And of course, we have to define, what kind of game we wanted to have, right? And also we have to, define clearly the game flow. For example, if I click on this, this button, then what screen or what web page it will, lead me to. And also we have to think about, specific design for the screens and also runs. And also we have to think about, what are the technique we're going to use. For example, in this case, we're going to use Python and also Pygame, which is a package. And also the main components, we're going to have the, initiation page, we're going to have the loop, we're going to have the end, okay? So, and also we can think about all kinds of functions or assets needed to make or create this, this kind of, application or game. And also we can think of, potentially think about what are the future extensions that we need to think about, okay? So as a result, what the generated code contains will be multiple game states. For example, what is the title, what is the mode selection, what is the runs, what is the end, what is the fallback graphics. If images are missing, what are the slot machine variants, what are the fireworks, and also what are the celebration, clapping animations, right? So basically, I'm going to give you a look about the original prompt that Dr. Yufan has been used. Okay. For example, this is, you have to write down everything here. So for example, to begin with, for the game overview, the title of the game should be, rock, paper, scissors. And this is the gold medal edition. Okay. The description, this is a graphical, rock, paper, scissors game using the Pygame with two modes, either vs the player vs the computer or the player vs the player. Okay. So after three rounds, the winner gets a gold medal and also fireworks. The loser claps. Okay, basically this is the really fundamental requirement that we have in mind when we design this kind of game, right? Then we have to have a really specific game flow, which is first of all when we log into this page, we have the mode selection. So the player chooses to play against computer, or you can choose another mode, which is a player play against another player. So the gameplay will be three rounds of rock, paper, scissors, and each round shows choices, results, and also scores updates. By the end, after three rounds, the winner is declared, and also winner animation, the gold medal, fireworks. The loser animation is the clapping with the Nintendo game Super Mario Smash. Okay, so basically this is something you can imagine, right? You already, I believe, by describing this kind of case, you already have a picture in mind. So basically, we are going to have a game, a paper, rock, paper, scissors, and we have some players, we have some rules for the game, we have some different modes for the game, and we have some victory celebrations, right? So the technical stack we are going to use is the Python, and also for the library, we are going to use the Pygame for graphics and also interaction. And the main components are initialization. So we have to set up the Pygame window and also assets. And then we have to, go to the mode selection screen. So this will be two buttons. One is player vs computer, another is player vs player. Okay. And then we have the game loop, and then also we have the end screen. So those are the four, components for our, application. Okay. Just imagine, this is how we design the game for Nintendo Switch for any type of game. I mean, as a prototype, of course. So the assets needed are, for example, the graphics for what kind of pictures you want to show when we select rock, what kind of picture or graphics we want to show for paper, and also what kind of medal we want, what kind of fireworks, what kind of clapping and animations we hope to have, right? And of course, for the future extensions, so these are for the future ideas. We may potentially add some sound effects for fireworks or clapping, and also we may add a best of five or configurable run system, right? So basically, these are the idea we have. So for example, given the AI Hackathon challenge, you guys are going to get together. You should be working. You should get together. You should have a discussion. Given this kind of challenge, what kind of solutions we should provide, right? For example, in this case, you should clearly describe the solution. What is the overview for the solution? For example, from a really high level, the solution is personal financial tracker, or it is a inventory management system, right? So, or it's a, a financial investment, automation assistant, right? So basically, you are going to think about what, from the really high level, what is the main function or the title of the, the application or the solution you design. And then, of course, you're going to provide more details like uh, what is the what is the flow of the solution? What is the technical stack you are going to use? What are the main components or assets needed for finalizing your final solution to the AI challenge, right? So basically, this is we don't have any codes in the step. So this is what we call by the prompt engineering, or this is what we call by prompts. So we design how the function or how the solution, how the app, how the platform should look like. Okay, this is our requirement. You have to specifically define or write down each part of the prompt. Okay, as a result, the generated code. So I'm not going to show you the generated code, but instead let's directly take a look for example, the generated code will be everything will be automatically for Codex or ChatGPT. It will generate these kind of different files and also some folders. Okay, so we have the inputs, we have all the the output codecs. So these are the output from the codecs. So these are the generated codes, right? We have the main.py. We have all the hackathon assignments. We have all the all the different rollback or snapshot. So we have all kinds of documents or files generated from codecs, right? So basically, the only thing I need to do is I can directly. So if you are using codecs, this is how I'm going to show you how to use codecs directly. So after you ask all the questions, it will generate all the the codecs functions or files for you, right? The only thing we need to do is we can directly select all the files and drag all the way down to the codecs. Okay, so this is I mean already here. This is the AI Hackathon demo games. So this is I already dragged this file into the codecs. Okay, this is the codecs interface. There's nothing more you need to do, right? And then you see I ask one question. So please look at this repo, which is the file here, which is the file that I drag to directly from here. So please take a look at the repo and tell me the exact commands to run the app and check the README and also the main.py. So the output will be the setup commands, the run command, and also how to know whether it worked, right? So this is also some instruction you can directly give Codex for you to learn. And of course, the setup commands are directly in the README file in this case. So what I'm going to do is directly copy and paste the generated code and directly run the code. For example, this is asking me to use the bash, which is using the terminal. So this is the the codex interface. We can directly go to the go to the bottom right, sorry, the top right, and we have some selections. We can use the finder, we can use the cursor, but in this case, since we have to run the bash code, we have to click on the terminal. Okay, so as a result, the terminal of the MacBook will show up here. So now for now, this is under the AI Hackathon demo games. But let's copy and paste all the code directly and run the code. So the first one, cd, this is actually going to the the directory. So let me run the code first. Okay. Now I'm in the output codecs file. Okay. So this is only like clicking on this file and open the folder. Okay. So this is now I'm under the output codecs folder. The next step is, I need to, install this Pygame, package. So I directly copy and paste, the code to the, the terminal, and I enter, run. I directly, click on enter. So as we can see, it's already installed in my system because I've, tried it before. But if this is the first time you run this, you're going to see, installing, and also successfully installed in your computer. Okay, so this is something you are going to run later. And then the next step is simple. So we directly copy this line. So run the command, which is the Python 3 main.py. As a result, after some time, what we are going to see is this really well-designed, game or interface, right? Basically, this is how the, the initial version of the app or the application will look like in this case, right? For example, in this case, this is the interface of the game. So let's try, for example, the VS Computer, version. So we have three characters. So Mario is always my favorite, so I choose Mario. So okay, now I have to make a choice. Rock, paper, scissors. I'm going to choose rock. Okay. Oh, fantastic! I won this round, and let's go to the next round. I'm going to use the scissors. Oh, that's nice. I also won this round. It's really surprising. Then let's do this again. Oh, it's a tie. So after 3 rounds, let's see the results. Out of the 3 rounds, I won two. I won twice. So eventually, I will be the champion, right? Then, as we can see, we have the clap, which is the easy version or the simple version. And of course, this is me, on the first place. This is my opponent. And eventually, I have some other, it says I win the match, right? So this is, exactly as I designed in my original prompt, right? So, this is this is a rock, paper, scissors, gold medal edition. And I can directly choose either I play against the computer or I play against another player, right? And also we have 3 rounds of the rock, paper, scissors. After the 3 rounds, the winner is declared. And of course, we have all the settings, right? So for example, my opponent is actually clapping, but of course, this is a really simple version, but this is really, interesting to do, right? Of course, we can play again. And for example, this time we can do with other player. So let me choose mine. And player one, make your choice. I make my choice. Then pass the device to player two. So in this case, I have to pass my computer to you, and you can click on your option, right? So as a result, you can see for the first round, player two won. Okay, so basically I can go to the next round and do something similar, and also the next round we can also do something similar, and as a result we can see how player two wins the game, right? So this is a really well-designed game or application in this sense. So previously we have been looking at how we can generate the code such that we create a web page. So this example actually shows us how we can use the vibe coding or the codecs to directly generate an application like this one. In this case, this is a really interesting, well-designed game. Okay, so we have to double check, whether the game satisfy all the requirements. So we can also play several rounds to see whether there's any errors popping up or whether there's something got stuck. In this case, if there's anything wrong, if after experimentation, you realize, for example, after you play with the computer and the system gets stuck, then of course you have to tell the system, you have to write down the prompt and then tell the system, for example, there's something wrong with my with my game at this step. Please fix it. Then in this case, the ChatGPT or the codecs are going to generate the solution or modify the code for you. Then basically this is how you further polish and also refine and also improve your final solution. Okay. For example, in this case, let me do a quick demonstration. For example, in this case, I can, as a next step, I can say, so the game, runs nice. Um, Next, I also want to include some audio, okay, for clapping and firework. Okay. For example, this is addition, after we experiment with the prototype and the initial version, we can actually, ask the ChatGPT or, the codecs for improving or adding some more functions, right? So this is what we mean by the small difference. Each step, we try to add one more or at most like two more functions such that eventually, the overall model should be still efficient, okay? Then I can, ask the question to the ChatGPT or the codecs, and as you can see, it's syncing. So I can add this one. Do you already have the audio files? If yes, please drop them in the folder directly. And if you want me to source or generate the audio, is that okay? In this case, if I say yes, please generate the audio for me, then it will, the codex is going to find or generate the audio resource for me. Okay. So what should each sound play? Oh, so when should each sound play? So basically, this is also something you can make really specific, requirement on, right? And as a result, once the system have all the resources they need, they can actually hook everything into the main.py file. And the second time or the next time we play or we open this game, it'll be automatically updated with all the new resources. Okay, so basically this is how you design from the beginning. You have to specifically think about what are the high level requirement, what are the specific interface you hope to have, and what are the specific improvement you want to make, right? So basically all the interactions will be through ChatGPT or through the codex. Okay, so basically this is eventually how you're going to design or beginning the design and also improving the design eventually. Okay, so this is the main idea. Let's continue. So this is the motivating example. So of course we can check whether everything is here, but this is a really well-designed example. So the big idea is that prompt engineering, which is how you write down the prompt, how you write down the specific requirements, or how you optimize all the instructions you ask to the codex or ChatGPT. This is actually exactly the same as product management. Okay, so previously, before the generative AI age, what we have been doing is we have to have a one product manager. We have to have several, computer scientists or, software engineer, and we have to have one UI UX designer. So that we, all together, we're going to, have a discussion. We're going to have several meetings, and then we are going to convert the idea from the product management or product designer to a final product, right? Basically, that was the the workflow before the generative AI age. But now with the help of generative AI, we don't need so many people, different roles anymore. The main purpose or the main role we should have is the product management, which means as long as you have the business sense, as long as you have a good idea, as long as you think about the solution to the AI hackathon challenge, then as long as you clearly define what you have in mind, with the prompts, then eventually you will be able to build the solutions at least from the the prototype perspective. Okay, so for example, in this case, you are not telling the AI or you're not telling the codex how to code. Generative AI tools, they are a much better software engineer or coding skill than most of us, right? So we are just specifying what kind of success or what kind of final product should look like. For example, we should begin by describing what is the user experience. For example, we can take some, what are the screens, what are the clicks, what are the outcomes, right? Imagine, for the financial, the personal financial tracker. So we should have several different clicks. For example, we can add our, bank balance. Then we can add, our, individual, spendings. We can, input, when is the spending, what was the spending, how much was the spending, and also we can ask ChatGPT using the API to do the analysis for us, right? So basically, this is everything we have to design. This is how the user may experience. This is how you want the user to experience. Okay, this is how you think the solution can solve the business problem. Then we have to define what the success means or what is done means, which means we have to think about the acceptance criteria. Of course, the prototype will not be perfect, right? But of course, but still, we need to have some kind of acceptance criteria, which means if we achieve these kind of goals, then this is already a good enough prototype. Because in the future, we can always further improve, and also we can further polish. Even websites like Amazon, they're trying to improve their interface on a daily basis, right? So this is you don't need to aim for the perfect. But how you should be having a acceptable prototype to show what is your idea. And of course, you have to give really constraints. You have to think about the constraints. For example, what is the time? What are the libraries you should be using? Python libraries. So especially for the libraries, if you don't know what kind of library you should be using, you can actually ask the ChatGPT, or the Codex, what kind of libraries I can potentially use, right? You can have a conversation with Codex. For example, you can say this is a type of app, or this is a type of website, this is a type of game I want to design. What kind of libraries I can potentially use, right? Then as a result, Codex is going to give you a lot of options. So for example, if you say I want to design a game, then it will tell you Pygame will be the good library to use. Okay, and of course you can ask the ChatGPT whether you want to everything in just one single file, or you want to have a multiple file or a structured format of the files. Okay. And of course, you can give some really specific examples of the inputs and also the expected outcome outputs, right? For example, if you say, these are the, let's, think about a specific case. So suppose we have a lot of, news articles, and eventually you want to make a investment decision based on all the news articles, right? In this case, you can give some of the, the news articles and say, based on this, for example, the expected outcome is, I buy the stock from these companies and I sell the stock for these companies, right? So you can give some examples, and as a result, so this is actually called few shot prompting, tech. So by providing these kind of examples, the ChatGPT will have a better understanding what kind of design they should design for you. Okay. And of course, we have to, define the edge cases in many of the cases, situations. So for example, what do we mean by ties in the previous game? And also the missing assets, the invalid input, such that we can, immediately improve or find out what is going wrong, right? So these are the edge cases. To begin with, we have the high level thinking. What is the overall problem, and then what is the first successful acceptable prototype we should have, and what kind of constraints we should include, and what kind of structure we should have, and also some examples that will be really nice. So basically, this is how we think about the prompt. So in this case, some of the really wrong ideas for the prompt engineering will be these examples. We cannot give a prompt that is really vague. For example, in this case, if we say make it cool or make it modern, so what does it mean by cool, or what does it mean by modern? So right, it's a really subjective, so it's a really objective kind of feeling. So ChatGPT doesn't understand what you actually mean. And of course, you cannot say, we don't have a really clear user flow. For example, for the previous game, you have to clearly define, for example, to begin with, you have two modes. The users can click on the VS computer or VS other player, right? And the next screen will be we start the game, first round, second round, third round, and we declare the winner, right? So this is the clear user flow. Otherwise, it will get stuck, or after the flow, it cannot go back to the main page, right? So you have to really have a really clear user flow in this case, and also you have to clearly define that what do you mean by a success, or what is acceptable prototype, and also the constraints and also the test plan, right? So these are some components are needed. If you omit or skip some of the requirements, then it will be too vague. And of course, on the other hand, you cannot say something really big, right? This will be the so-called scope overload. For example, you cannot directly say, please build me an, the Microsoft Word, right? Please build an app, exactly, identical to the Microsoft Word. That would be impossible for the ChatGPT to do right now. So this is years of improvement, and also exercise, and also the experimentation. So it cannot build something as large as this one. So in this case, you cannot ask to build everything at once, and also you cannot ask the ChatGPT or the Codex. I mean, you can, but it won't be efficient to ask the Codex to generate 10 features with no priorities, with no main ideas. And of course, the multiple frameworks mixed, and also you cannot, build something without any, MVP first, or the no checkpoints. Okay, otherwise the project will be too large, such that sometimes you are missing a lot of the details, or it's going to hallucinate or generate something you don't expect it. You don't expect. Okay, so this is something you have to be careful when you write down all the prompt, the instructions to the codecs. So basically, to begin with, usually there are 7 building blocks for a great or acceptable prompt, which means for each of the prompt, you should, this is the structure of the prompt. You should always keep in mind, okay? For example, firstly, what is the role? So who is the AI? For example, usually we say, suppose you are a senior developer, suppose you are the UX designer, suppose you are the game developer, suppose you are the senior data analyst, right? So this is, the role, the role play based kind of, prompt. So the first, to begin with, you have to clearly define who are, how, for example, if you say, I'm only a junior developer, then of course we may have a lot of bugs, or we may have a lot of errors potentially, right? If I say suppose you are a senior developer, then in this case the code will be more mature and also advanced. Okay, that's why we are including these kind of role play rules in the prompt. And from the really high level, what is our main goal? So what kind of problem we try to solve, and for who? Who is the audience? Who is the users? For example, I have to be really specific. Am I talking to the business school students, or am I talking to the, let's say, the high school students? So you have to make it really clear, such that eventually the prompt is going to make some adjustments based on your audience, based on your high level story, right? User story. And of course, the scope is what should be included and also what should be excluded. Okay, so this is what we call by the MVP. And also we have to think about the user flow. So in the sense that, how, for example, this is the first page the users should see. And then if they click on this, you are going to be directed to the next page. But of course we have a back button so that we can come back to the main page. So you have to clearly define the structure and also the user flow, no matter what no matter what kind of, app you want to design. And of course you have to have the data. For example, how the data can be stored or how the data can be returned. It can be a SQL, it can be a schema, it can be a field, it can be a Python data frame. As long as you think clearly what is your needs, then it should be fine. Okay, so this is something also you can ask the ChatGPT to help you determine. But in the prompt, you have to determine, or you have to decide what kind of data you want to use or you want to store. For example, in the previous game example, let's say I want to keep track of all the previous histories of who played and also who won. In this case, you have to think about how I can store these kind of data and where I can store all kinds of data, right? This is a question you have to think about. You are building a block like a Lego. So you have to think about clearly each component, what each component mean, and how you want to manage everything. And of course, for the constraints, we have the libraries, we have the file structure, we have all kinds of performance measures. So this is also something you want to think about in the future. Oh yeah, Aiden, you have a question?
Uh, yeah, I have a question, Dr. Nick. My question is, are you expecting what kind of quality are you expecting from this project? Because I have taken C++ programming classes before. Are you expecting like a midterm quality uh, pro result for this project?
Very good question. So let's actually, take a brief look at the AI Hackathon webpage. So the AI Hackathon, 2026, this AI Hackathon. So, I mean, first of all, the challenge will be announced on March 13th, right? And, approximately after 2 weeks, you are going to, make a record, you are going to have the prototype, and you are going to submit your recording or the solution to the judges, right? Which means, to my understanding, you have to design a clear solution. What is the business question, and what kind of solution you design, why it works, then that should be fine. As long as it is effective working prototype that can actually solve the problem to some extent or from some certain perspective, then that should be good enough. It doesn't have to be a product that can be immediately that can be immediately deployed. It doesn't have to be. Yeah. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, in summary, as a summary, so you don't okay. Using this kind of vibe coding, techniques or this kind of workflow, to begin with, the product cannot be 100% like perfect, right? There will always be some spaces that you can, further improve. But as at least for the AI hackathon's purpose, as long as it's a working, effective or a reasonable prototype, then it should be fine. Yeah. Okay, very good. So let's continue. And of course, eventually we have to verify, you have to test, right? For example, you have to, learn how to run the app, how to, how to, let some other people know how to run the app, and also how to test all the cases, right? So that's the verification. Actually, you can even ask the generative AI tools to generate or create this kind of prompt template for you. And what you are going to do is just fill in the blanks, right? Let's say what you can do is how you can ask the ChatGPT. You can talk to the ChatGPT saying, I want to create a game, and please generate the vibe coding or the prompt engineering prompt for me. Okay, then the ChatGPT is going to generate the template of the prompt for you. All you need to do is fill in the blank, individually. Okay, so this is also something you can consider in the future. So the prompt ladder, we usually start from really high level, and how then we get really specific. From the really high level, this is the main idea, the really high level idea, right? So for example, using one or two sentences, you have to clearly define, what is the who you are and what is the problem you want to solve, what is the expected outcome you want, right? For example, it could be a recipe generator for the busy, for the busy parents, or it can be you have to be more specific, right? For example, it can be a recipe generator for the busy parents who don't have enough time to make meals for their baby, right? Or it can be a financial personal financial tracker such that I can better make a better understanding what I should where I can save some money, right? So you have to make it really specific. This is the really high level idea. Then you have to think about what are the user flow. Then you have to think about the data model, for example, whether you are using SQL or whether you are running some machine learning models. So basically, this is something you have to think about, right? Where the data will be stored, how the data will be processed. And of course, we should, if used, we should have some APIs or some call functions, okay? So these are also something in addition you can think about. And also we have the building, task. So we begin by having the small prompt or simple prompt, which is the scatterfold for the main idea, and then we can have further and further implement or add features one time each, and then eventually we can polish or improve the UI UX design. Then that's how we eventually build a really persuasive and nice looking app such that other people may be interested in, right? So just imagine we are like the Shark Tank, right? So you have some prototype. You show that this will be valuable in the future, and eventually some other people will pay for your idea, right? Or pay for your prototype. So basically, this is what important to the judges. Of course, you also have to think about how to make a story, for the judges, right? So this is also a demo that you can potentially think about, how to create this kind of demo, for the judges, within the 5 minutes recording, of course. So for example, this is the prompts, the product specific prompt. So this is for any app or website. Basically this is the framework. So for example, you can think about the role. You are a senior developer and you also UX designer, and then the goal is build something that helps someone to do some task, right? The MVP features, this is the, so for the MVP features, by the way, MVP means the minimum, viable, product. So the minimum viable products features should be, feature one, feature two, feature three. Okay. In this case, don't include too many features. Don't include more than 5 features. From my experience, if you add too many, sometimes it will give you some inconsistency within the, within the code. And also, you have to design the user flow. For example, if you are at this screen, then if you do something, if you select some, action, then you are going to be directed to other, pages, right? So this is how the user flow may look like. Just imagine any websites. If you click on this, you will be directed to some page. If you do that, it will be the purchasing page, right? So basically, this is the user flow. And of course, for the data, if you use the data, then of course you have to think about how you show the data, how you store the data. Okay, for example, you can show the data using some tables, pie charts, or regression tables. So these are something you can think about, right? And for the storage, you can think about SQL, or you can think about some other formats. And of course, some constraints. For example, in this case, we use the Python Flask plus some other packages. And of course, we have to keep it simple. So for now, for the prototype, we don't need the the login page. We don't need the authorization page unless required. Okay, and of course, please for the test, you can say tell me the exact run command, and also provide 5 test cases I can click through. You can test all the 5 cases, right? So basically, this is the template for the prompt that you are going to write. Basically, just think about you think about the solution. You guys get together to think about the solution, and you fill in the blank like this. Okay, basically this is what you are going to do eventually. Fill in the blanks. And for example, in this case, for the scaffold, you can say something like you are the codex. Create an MVP in small steps. For example, this is the environment, this is the language, this is the framework, database, and this is the expected output. The step one, generate file tree and also requirements. Step two, create the smallest app that runs and also shows the homepage. And step three, add one feature at a time. So basically, this is step-by-step reasoning kind of request, such that Codex will build the app exactly according to your imagination. Okay, so basically, this is what what you can this is how you should communicate with the Codex. Okay. Um, and of course, this whenever you try to add something new, or you want to include additional one additional feature, or one additional function, basically this is something you have to do. For example, please make one small changes. The goal is to do what, and the files allowed is to use these files, right? The output format will be for example a short explanation, unified file, and also the exact comment to run to verify, right? So, do not rewrite unrelated code, right? So basically, whenever you try to add something in addition, this will be the prompt, structured prompt that you should use in order to improve further your product, right? Basically, the workflow will be relatively straightforward. So this is a so-called prompt engineering loop. We begin by describing the outcome, or from the really high level, what kind of product we want to develop, right? This is the first step, develop or describe the outcome. Then we generate the code. We ask Codex, we ask ChatGPT to generate the code. And then of course we can experiment, we can have a try, we can run the code. And after we run the code, we find some errors, we find some something that are missing. As a result, we are going to add one at a time, and further improve our product, right? Then in this case, suppose we want to add additional function saying I want to automatically generate the plots for all the data I have. Then this is additional outcome that you should describe clearly and add into the existing code, right? So then by doing these kind of loops, you can eventually polish and also gradually improve your final product. Okay, so I mean, of course, from a really practical perspective, each loop should only take several minutes, or 10 minutes top, if you are you just begin to learn how to use this. But basically, this is if it's taking a really large time or a long time, then probably there's something wrong you didn't think about, or the project is too large for the system to begin with. Okay, so this is something you should always keep in mind. So for the debugging prompt, basically this is even easier. So for many of the students who don't have any technical background or programming background, basically don't worry. So for example, you can directly say, I run the app and I got an error, and you just copy and paste, or you just take a screenshot of the error. And this is where the error is. And for example, the goal is, of course, we should fix the error, so the app should do something as you requested, and don't show up the error, right? So this is the final goal. And eventually you are going to ask the Codex or the ChatGPT to generate or improve or fix the code for you, right? So this is really easy to do. Also, if you are using Codex or ChatGPT. So how your prompt become a real code. So basically, this is really important to remember. So this makes the prompt writing less mysterious. So each requirement maps to a specific module, function, or state. For example, previously the game rock paper scissors, the motivating example. So we have the mode selection screen. So basically, this is related to for example the title, and also the peak, and also some of the some of the fundamental functions, right? And also the three rounds corresponds to some of the functions in the code. The winner animation and so firework also for example corresponds to the classes for the firework manager, and also the clapping and animation. Okay, so basically this is, if you try to understand how the prompt generates the corresponding code, then basically this is how you can draw the line to see which corresponds to which part. Okay. So of course in this case, I mean, in the previous example, in addition to the, as you may remember, so I further asked the ChatGPT, I further asked the codex to generate some audio, right? Then the codex actually asked me whether I have all the assets, right? So if I already have the pictures, if I already have the audios, I can directly upload, right? So they're going to ask this kind of classification problem, questions to us, right? So basically, this is also the same. So we have to list all the required assets by name and its location. For example, this is where I should store. Let's take a look at the file. So for example, these are the inputs we have. For example, these are the images for the rock paper scissors. Sorry, this one, right? This is the photo that we selected for the paper. So this is the Super Mario image. So these are the images we try to find on our own, right? If we don't want to try, if we don't try to find our own, then of course Codex can generate all the audio or images for us, right? So this is also something that we can discuss or have a conversation with the codex. So but basically you have to understand what kind of assets are required, and how you should manage all the assets. Okay, so this is really important to remember. But of course, you don't need to think about everything from the beginning. You have to ask codex a clearly definition or a clear path how you should manage everything. Okay, this is managing the assets. Of course, we try to translate, for example, if we want to translate the game prompt into a website prompt, then, this is also something, basically we have the same skill, but different medium, right? So in this case, we are using different packages. We are using different, routes. We are using different, Python packages, right? But this is nothing too much to worry about. Basically, you can, restart the entire process, saying instead of the application that we saw earlier, please make the game that appear on the website, right? Like the snake game we showed last time, right? So basically, this is something we can also do in the future. So we don't have time for the mini exercise, but this is an exercise. I leave it to you. Okay, so just pick any business problem that you have in mind. It can be expense tracker, it can be inventory helper, it can be customer email assistant, but basically just imagine anything, right? Just try to begin. So I know that, if this is the first time you learn about the concept of prompt engineering or vibe coding, you might be you might be a little bit confused, but this is only helpful, or you're going to understand what we, introduce, or what we, introduce for all the sessions until you actually play around with it. Okay, the best learning is through your practice. Okay, there's no better way than, just play around with it. Just begin to write some code in this case. Okay, so this is something, I always recommend. Just try something. Just write down something easy. Just do something really, straightforward. It will be a great help, or, a great improvement to your skill or to your understanding. Okay, this is really, really important. Okay. Um, and of course, eventually we have to, we have to check, and also you have to check the prompt quality. So we have the, the rubric. For example, do we have the clear user problem, success, and also outcome? Do we have the clear, 3 to 5 features, which is the MVP, right? The minimum, viable, the minimum viable product, right? So the features. And of course, we have to, clearly define what is the user flow, whether there's any link missing. You have to, check on your own, whether, all the constraints are satisfied, whether we already test all the cases, and then what is your iteration plan, right? After the step one, after the prototype, you can further improve your prototype by adding some additional features, right? So basically, this is something we can do. If you remember the previous example, the financial tracker. So originally it is only a financial tracker. Then I eventually add some open AI API, chatbot, sorry, a chatbot, and also I also add additional like snake game on my, on my web page. Okay, so I just each time I add one more feature. This is really important to do, because it won't ruin everything for you. Okay, so okay, as a sum up, so there's nothing to worry about the coding or the programming itself. You're eventually in the future, you will be the product manager. Everyone will be a product manager in the sense that you are going to use the technology to actually build something to solve the problem. Okay. So in modern days, if you check the news, Morgan Stanley, many of the companies, they are redesigning their, positions or roles for their employees, because in the future, no one will be, no one will be, classified as a computer scientist, or no one will be, classified as a entry-level software engineer, but you will be the, the product designer or the product manager. Okay, so basically, you are going to use these kind of tools to further and further improve the prototype and improve the solution. This is the main idea to keep. From the prompt ladder, we think highly from the idea. What is the main idea? What is the user flow? What is the data? What is the task? What is the demo, right? So you have to, think about the prompt from the really high level until really specific level, okay? And also, of course, use the codec for small steps. We have the, scaffold. We have the run, we have the fix, we have the commitment, we have the, the iteration, we have the loop, right? Always demand, the run command and also the test cases, the minimum, differences, right? And also the win hackathon by shipping something reliable and, demoable. Okay. The most important thing is, imagine the AI hackathon is like the Shark Tank, the TV show. So basically, you have to design some prototype using 2 weeks. And of course, you still have some time to further polish your final product, right? But eventually, you are standing in front of the judge to, to tell the judges, okay, given this specific business challenge or business problem, this is my solution. And this is my prototype for the solution. If you do something like this, according to, your solution, according to this platform, according to this website, then you are going to at least partially solve, or, partially know how to solve these kind of problems, right? So basically, think like this way. So you have to make everything, I mean, it doesn't have to be really 100% perfect, but it has to be something reliable and also, demoable. Okay, that's the, main difference for this year's AI hackathon compared with previous years. previously AI hackathon is only about giving the ideas. So we generate some slides, we tell the judges, basically, this is what we have in mind, but we don't have the capability to build it, right? Then of course, it may be valuable, but not any potentially not anymore in the future because we have the ability to actually build something. Okay, that's the most important takeaway that we hope you learn from this kind of AI hackathon experience. Okay, so this is the skill that we hope you have. So that wraps up my presentation for today. Any questions? Any questions from the audience? Okay. If not, thank you so much for the attendance, and I'm going to share the recording on Canvas. So whenever you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Okay. So again,
Okay, okay. I'm so sorry I didn't
yeah.
attend last Thursday. I just got done with a very hard test and I slept through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't worry. So, for example, for all the recordings, you can get access to all the recordings on the Canvas page. So, all the recordings will be available here or under the cultural media. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Have a
Thanks. Okay. Thank you so much for everyone, and I hope you good luck. And don't forget the most important thing, please get started. Ask something, design some specific, really small application using Codex or ChatGPT, and just make it happen. Okay. Then you are going to realize how easy it could be, and also how difficult it could be to eventually polish the final product. Okay. So that concludes my session for today. See you on Thursdays. Okay, thank you.